The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello and welcome back to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. I am your host, Timothy Kataino, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing show for you. Well, my guest today has been doing wonders in Fort Collins, and look, I think he is here to inspire and motivate you new realtors out there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, help me. Well, one of the agents you should really keep an eye out for, luminary in the real estate industry, Maxwell Paduska. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I'm happy you're here, man. For those that don't know you, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into the amazing world of real estate?
Yeah, I kind of stumbled on real estate by accident. I had finished college, got my degree, had no clue what I wanted to do with it. And it got me into this sales gig. And it just, I liked sales. I love talking to people, but it was not the gig for me. And I reached out to one of my good buddies' dads, who I knew was super successful in real estate. And I was really just trying to go for kind of like get a feel of what real estate would be like if that was something that I were to do. And he persuaded me to jump into it. And I just went head first. And yeah, I've been rocking with it ever since.
Man. I know if you're a person that loves sales, real estate must come easy. I think similar processes, you are building relationships with your clients. Now, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you first got into real estate, and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest one that I faced off the bat was that I didn't have any family in real estate or any family members looking to like sell anytime soon. Because I feel like that's how a lot of people pick up their first deals, through family or their sphere of influence. And being younger, none of my friends were really looking to purchase homes or anything like that. So my whole business was based off of cold calling pretty much from the beginning. So I'd say that hardest part was, one, being so young, and two, not having a lot of people that are in that age group to purchase homes yet. So that was the biggest thing that I struggled with from the beginning.
Yeah. And how is it like being a young person in real estate? How is your relationship with your clients? I mean, when you first meet up and they're like, oh man, you're young, so do they ever feel like, man, can he get the job done? Because I know that most people tend to be more comfortable with people like that are older. There's people that have like 15 years in the industry. What is your relationship with your clients?
I think that there's definitely people who wouldn't work with me because of my age and because I'm young, because they believe that. And real estate is, they say something, it's like 85% quit after the first year. And then the people that make it past that, another 80 quit before 5. So it definitely is like the people that have made it as far as they have in real estate are there for a reason. So it's definitely something that I understand that sellers and people worry about. I think the way that I found that I got past that is just, I work very hard and I try to do everything that I can for my clients. And once they start to see that view of me as a young person kind of just deteriorates, and I'm just looked at as the person that I am in my profession.
That's amazing. Now, how has being Fort Collins a native influenced your understanding of the local real estate market?
I don't think that it has a huge impact on, it's super easy as a real estate agent to go into a place and find out where the nice neighborhoods are and where the nice areas are. I think where being a native helps me is like my insight on local restaurants and things like that, being close to certain areas, how that has like an impact on home values and stuff. And then I think one of the biggest ones that I can appeal to with like younger families is what school system you're in, because both my parents taught in the school district of Fort Collins. So being able to like point at certain things about certain schools and my opinions on those schools, because my parents are there and I went to those schools and whatnot, I think kind of brings an insight to those buyers or sellers that some other agents aren't capable of doing.
Yeah. And you previously mentioned that 80% of realtors, give up and quit within the first year. What has kept you going? What has motivated you to keep going and progressing in this industry?
I think the biggest part of it is that I genuinely love what I do. I think a lot of people get really like distraught because it takes so long to sometimes get those first couple commission checks and whatnot, and they're worried about feeding a family, which is totally understandable. I was lucky enough that I did really well when I first started. Like right off the bat, I was hitting the ball rolling. I knocked out a couple transactions in my first couple months. So that definitely played a big impact. But just knowing and believing that this is what I want to do has made a huge impact on the reason that I'm still doing it.
And that's good, man. And if you could advise newer realtors on how to be successful, what advice would you give?
I think the biggest thing is just making connections with people. I remember when I was getting my license, because like even when I was studying for my license, I was like, I'm not sure if this is right for me, because they talk about how like most people don't get a sale in their first year and stuff like that. I was like doing the math in my head. I was like, my savings is not going to last me a year. So I was definitely worried about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest thing that helped me succeed was just like not being afraid of rejection. Cause like I said, a lot of my business is based off cold calling. I mean, you're not face to face, like they can't pin a face with a name. Like if you cold call someone and run into them later, I highly doubt that anyone's going to be like, you're that one guy that cold called me. So there's
Yeah.
no fear. I just think like sticking with it, hit the phones, like if that's what your business is based off, of course, then yeah, I think just try to make as many connections with as many people as possible, because you really never know where the next transaction is going to come from.
Yeah, and I can imagine, man. Like cold calling is something that really helps you build character, like perseverance, and because you're gonna pick up the phone, and a lot of people are gonna hang up. A lot of people don't want to
Yep.
hear what you have to say. But what do you think helped you like to overcome that and just keep going? And now you're on the path of success right now. I mean, I can imagine the first couple of calls must have been hectic. What
Oh my God.
kept you going?
Yeah, those first couple calls were brutal. I sounded like I had no clue what I was doing. I think the biggest thing is because, like I said, I had a background in sales, is just learning how, like, I always start off with a joke. Like, I'm one of those super annoying realtors. I promise I'll try to be the least annoying out of anyone that's called you so far. I mean, as soon as you get someone to like smile or laugh over the phone, like the conversation's going to go a lot better than you thought. But if you're nervous and timid and the person
Yeah.
on the other end of the line can feel it and you're not even face to face, it's definitely not going to go anywhere.
Oh man. Look, so ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Be unique. Don't be nervous. I know it can be nerve-wracking, but don't be nervous. Try to get them smiling. So for all you guys that just got into real estate right now and you're wondering, how am I going to pick up the phone? How do I do it, Tim, when people keep on hanging up on me? Look, be friendly, get them to smile, and hey, you're hearing it from Maxwell here. So, I'm curious, man. What are the key trends currently shaping the real estate market in Fort Collins and Colorado?
For the people that aren't familiar, it's definitely an expensive market. I would say it's not very first time home buyer friendly. I think the average price in Fort Collins right now is probably got to be starting at the mid sixes around there for a single family residence. So I think the hardest part is just that barrier to entry. You don't have as many buyers looking around. I mean, you got to make a good amount of money to even step foot and look at a home in this market. So I think that's probably the biggest struggle that Fort Collins is going through right now. People want high prices for their homes, and with the market that we're in right now, it's just super hard to make that happen when you're looking at like a monthly payment basis. Like you might look at a home and be like $700,000 isn't that bad, but when you calculate the monthly payment, property taxes, insurance, all that stuff like that, you're looking at like $4,000, and that's a tough payment to make for a lot of people.
I can imagine. I can definitely imagine. And like, how would you predict the future of real estate in Fort Collins? What do you think it's going to be like in the next couple of years?
I think that even though it is, like I said, it's hard to get into, we have a bunch
Mm.
of people from California moving to Fort Collins and Boulder and all of northern Colorado, just Colorado in general, really. And those people are selling their homes for millions back there. So they come here and it's not as bad for them. So I don't see prices decreasing by any means. I don't think they'll increase as rapidly as they have in history, but I think it's a very strong market that's constantly going to appreciate. I think it's very hard to buy a home here and lose value as long as you take care of the property. So I don't see things declining anytime soon.
Right, all right. Thank you for that, man. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to give a quick shout out to the sponsors of today's episode, and that is the Icons of Real Estate Podcast Network. Now, we're here to help you get started with your real estate podcast. So whatever your real estate podcast dreams are, we are here to bring them to life. Now, my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is if you were to start a real estate podcast, what would you call it? Now, let's find out from Max. Max, if you were to start a real estate podcast, what would you call yours?
Oh, goodness me. I honestly have no clue. I've even mentioned that before, but I can't even think of something because it's got to be clever, you know? It's got to be catchy. Like icons of real estate
Yeah,
is, I don't know
yeah,
if I'm creative
yeah.
enough.
I mean, you could do something with your name. I'm trying to connect it with a movie. Let's see. We can't call it Max Payne podcast because people are going to be like, what?
Well, definitely get them to click on it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that could be a good name. That could be a good name. Now,
We'll
ladies
stick
and
with it.
yeah, hey, we'll stick with that. We'll put that in the archives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, we have all our details in the description. Hit us up if you want to get started with your real estate podcast. Now, back to this conversation. Now, Max, you mentioned that you don't see the value of property in Fort Collins like decreasing. And, what would be your insights in real estate investment for people that want to invest in real estate in Fort Collins right now? Yes, could be a good investment. How do you see that?
So I think in Fort Collins, Windsor, anything really northern Colorado, because we have those high home prices, I see a lot of people who do house flipping and stuff like that have a lot of success here
Mhm.
because just those sales points, they are so high. So if you know what you're doing and you're good at flipping houses, I think it's a great option. In terms of a cash flowing rental, I personally take most of my clients that are interested in doing that further down to Denver because rents are a little bit higher there and there's more apartments, whereas northern Colorado is more single family. So you can definitely hit those higher cap rates and get better cash flow down south. But up here, if someone strictly said that they wanted to invest and they're not flipping or something like that, I would tell them to plan on putting a lot down as long as they're cash flowing monthly if they have a mortgage, as long as there's a slight bit of cash flow. Like I said, you can kind of rely on that appreciation of property values, and you're not going to see your bank account growing like in the next year or so off that of a rental or something like that. But once you sell that property 1031, that's where that appreciation that you've gained over time is where really you're going to see success in your investments. So that's kind of, hopefully that didn't go off on too much of a tangent, but that's where I see people investing in here, and that's where I reference them to go.
Man, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that. You heard it yourself. Now, what marketing strategies have you found to be most effective in your real estate business?
I think it's super hard to stand out in this market because I do think that Northern Colorado has a lot of really good real estate agents and a lot of people that really try their best and do the most for their clients. I mean, other than the standard stuff of getting high quality listing pictures and stuff like that, where I've found success, especially in the higher price points, is trying to be at the showings that I can for buyers myself, because I think you can show a house so much better when you're the one representing it versus just trusting that some other agent is going to do their best job. I think that's something that's super hard to rely on. Even for all my properties for the showings, I don't have them go through like an online service like Showing Time. I have them all call me so I can try, at least if I know I'm not going to make the showing, I'll try to be there, but I try to highlight the key things that I think they should point out over the phone and whatnot before. And I think that makes a super big difference because I mean, a home can only be so good, and there's so many good homes out there that it's super hard to rely on them just walking through it to fall in love with it. So I think being able to provide that insight, provide those highlights myself is something that I try to do for all my clients.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you are involved and how you go the extra mile because other agents can be like, hey, you know what? They got that. So I'm going to sit this one down. I think that's amazing, man. Now, how do you help homeowners get the best price for their properties?
I think pricing it competitively is
Mhm.
the best thing to do because you have this point where you can hope for a number and that can be your goal number. And if you put it at that, you're not going to get enough people in the door. But people are so emotional right when they write an offer. That's why, like during COVID, you had bidding wars all over the place because people thought it was a good deal. Their interest rates are low. They're looking at what their payment's going to be as they're offering. I think pricing it right and getting people in the door because the original offer that someone's going to write is never going to be as high as when you're in a multiple offer situation. So I just think pricing it competitively is the best thing that you can do. And then it's all the other little things. Like I said, the pictures, where you're putting it on social media, how you're showing the property. If you can be there as much as possible, doing open houses is huge. I just think you can't really go wrong with the more that you do. You can never do too much marketing.
Yeah, you can never do too much marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Yes. Just before we leave, I want to know from you, man, what three habits make a successful real estate agent? I know this is something that most agents want to hear, whether, you're an agent that just got into the market or you've been in the industry for a while, but you haven't found much success and you're trying to figure out what can I do? What can I do to change the outcome of everything that I'm going through right now? So we'd love to hear from you, Max. Like, what three habits make a successful realtor?
I think the number one thing is being yourself, not trying to be someone that you pretend not to be. Like personally, I will always help anyone that asks for it, but I don't spend any time marketing towards first time home buyers because I do go more towards that investment side. And I think there are definitely things that I lack in, like the empathy and the care of like, I'll help you move in and boxes stuff. That's just not my personality. So I know if I tried to market towards that, I wouldn't succeed, but I know that I am very business mindset. So I run with that. And I think that's probably like just being yourself and doing what you are actually good at instead of trying to do something you want to be good at is hands down number one. I think that's the best way you can do it because people will see the genuineness that you have. And that'll take you very far places. I think the second habit is just determination, just like never getting up. Like I said, hitting the books. It's super, super easy to make a couple phone calls and you just hit them in the wrong order. You got a couple negative people who just don't want to talk to you on the phone. And I mean, if you let that get to you, you're never gonna succeed. And then I think the last most important trait that you could have as a real estate agent, I feel like I got to make it a good one. I got to think here. I think understanding and well, I guess I should say, I think the next best one would be a figure it out mentality. It's super easy because especially once I started in real estate, once I got my first couple transactions, I realized the biggest thing is that once you go under contract, nothing is over. I remember the first time I went under contract, I was like, it's easy, my job's done. And then I realized I was like, this is where seeing other videos, real estate agents are like, being a real estate agent isn't easy. It's once you're under contract, everything before is not that challenging. But once you're under, having a figure it out mentality of there are things that can happen. But if you're able to figure it out, that's what's going to bring people back to you and bring you this repeat business to really be a successful agent. So a figure it out mentality, I would say, would probably be my last one.
Man, thank you so much for that, man. You shared a lot of key things there. I love it when you said be yourself, man. Like really be yourself. Not every realtor out there is willing to say, "Hey, I'm going to help you pack. I'm going to help you move." If it's not in you, like don't try to force it, man. You're gonna find yourself breaking people's property when they're trying to
Yep.
move and be like, "Man, why did we get this guy here?" Thank you so much for that, man. That was powerful. That was really, really powerful. Now, for people that might want to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I would just say I'm always answering the phone. You never know when a random number is going to be someone. So, I mean, I pick up everything. I deal with a lot of marketing calls because of it. So I'd say my phone number, you can find that on my website. It's just firstlastname.com or my Instagram. It's paduska.realtor. That'd probably be the best way to reach out.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you find yourself anywhere near Fort Collins, man, you know Maxwell is your guy. If you want the best service in town, then Maxwell is your guy. And if you want a person that knows all the areas, all the nice places to be, man, look, trust me, he knows it. He is your guy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say, please go and visit his Instagram page. His details are in the description, so you can find them right here if you're watching on YouTube. And look, I trust me, you won't regret it. Max, thank you so much, man. You have been an amazing guest. I said it at the beginning that people should really look out for you because I think you are one of those realtors that a lot of people are definitely going to know really soon. And a lot of people are definitely going to remember. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights on the real estate market in Fort Collins and also being an inspiration to other realtors out there. Man, I like the fact that there are people like you that are changing the narrative that, hey, of course, the first year is not the easiest, but this is how you can get through it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this episode added value to your life, and I know it did, hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Share it with your friend. Share it with your social circle because trust me, they will love you forever. It has been your host, Timothy Kataino, with the amazing, and you might never know, maybe he might be the host of the Max Payne Real Estate Podcast. Maxwell Paduska. Until we meet again, guys, take care and cheers.